Well, today you are tuning in to the Odds Couple. How's your week been, Christina? I know we had Christmas. We kind of took the week off and ready to get at it again.
It was good. It was a low-key Christmas. My daughter had to work, but I did get to spend some time with my parents. And so the parental units are good, and my daughter's good, and everything's good.
You're getting ready for the onslaught of the Vegas tourism over the next week. You going to spend any time downtown with the other 364,000 guests?
No, that would be a no. I'll probably be asleep by midnight. I mean, I've already done. In my 20s, I did the whole let's go spend Vegas, New Year's on the Strip. So I never have to do that again. And that's enough. I'm like, that was well enough, and it was enough.
It's another one of those when you live there, like people on the beaches and the oceans are like, I rarely even go to the beach. That's right outside my back door. You're like, I rarely go to the Strip.
Probably. Yeah, because you do go to the Strip for some things. Like they do have good restaurants. I'm not going to lie. They do have good restaurants. I still need to go into the Sphere. I want to go in the Sphere and check out how that is, because that's cool and it doesn't have a casino. Because I can go down the street. I can run to the Red Rock Casino and hotel here. So, and that's usually my go-to place when I'm going to make my bets anyways, if I'm going in places. And then, that's where I'm going to do it, at the Red Rock. It's about 2 miles from my house.
Yeah, that and less people and less tourism and less people walking down the sidewalks with their shoes in their hands and all that fun stuff.
Or they have a guy, I think on Fremont, that if you give him $20, he will let you kick him in the balls.
I'm going to have to find him, but I am not going to pay him to do that. I'm going to watch him do that to somebody else next week.
And the whole thing is he'll give them the money back if he keels over. And apparently he's never given the money back. So I don't know how he does it. I don't know if he's had them removed. I don't know.
That feels like that's one of those dumb games. Sorry, my camera's freezing up. But yeah, that sounds like... No, you're good. I'll fix it here. But yeah, that sounds like one of those play dumb games, win stupid prizes.
Yay. What's wrong with your camera?
My processor is being tapped out. So let me close a couple of programs real quick. That'll help. So carry on. What are you looking at for this week when it comes to college football?
Well, I think I'm going to start off. What's the first game? The first game is Oregon and Texas Tech, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So Oregon, Texas Tech. I am going to take Oregon -2.5. I think Oregon lost a really close game. They've only had a couple really close games, but they've handled most of their opponents pretty well. Mm-hmm. So, I think Oregon goes and takes care of business, and they take care of Texas Tech -2.5.
Yep. Okay, I got Oregon.
I think it's a close game. Texas Tech, they're the SEC, or are they the Big 12? Was Texas A&M the Big 12?
I think they're Big 12. I think they're Big 12. I'll have to look. That's a great
question. That would be why. Like the two conferences that are dominant in here, if you look at all the other games, is Big 10. Well, Miami's ACC, but it's Big 10 and SEC in this finals. So,
yeah.
So if they somehow don't make it to the final, well, one of the Big 10 or SEC teams, then, more power to the other Miami and Texas Tech.
100%. Yeah, I think like with the Texas Tech, I'm going to ride them because I think they're just a surprise team. There's always going to be one that's kind of surprising. Obviously, the history there is the billionaire that was the oil tycoon who basically brought a ton of money to that program to be able to handle the NIL, which is the new version of the NFL now. People are just buying their teams, right? So this is a completely bought team. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I mean, that quarterback they got is a gunslinger. Texas Tech's always seemed to grow gunslingers there, at least at the college level. So the over-under is 51.5. I would probably lean under on that because Texas Tech's defense is, dude, they're crazy good. They got that linebacker that's a stud. I forget his name, but he's a stud. So I'm going Texas Tech plus 2.5. I might alternate spread that to 3 just to give me that little 3 cushion because I've been beat enough times by that 0.5. I might bump it to plus 3.
I probably would agree. The next game, Ohio State and Miami. I am going to not pick who wins because I actually root for both teams. So like I was telling you, I am not going to be disappointed on who loses. I'll be rooting for whoever the winner is out of this game to go all the way. I do think it's going to be Ohio State just because I think they have a better overall roster. I think they're better coached. I think they have a better defense. I'm going to go with the over, though, of this game. I just think I don't think that Miami be able to stop Ohio State from completely scoring, and I think Miami will score maybe 10 to 14 points, and Ohio State will do the rest to get us over the 41. Because usually they have an avalanche somewhere in the game where it's either the second or the third quarter and they have the avalanche, they make their adjustments. The only team they had problems against was Indiana. But again, you were coming off of an emotional win off of Michigan, and who knows? You know, now that you've seen them and you got that loss out of the way, you can play pissed off football again, like you did last year. Let's do that.
No, so true, so true. Where are you going to watch that game? That's tomorrow night. I think 5:30.
I will be at my dad's watching that.
Probably 4:30. Yeah, I bet that's 4:30 Pacific.
We're ordering a pizza and shutting out the world.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I won't antagonize you. You can message me and I'll respond in kindly. If you don't message me, then I will steak crickets. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, on that game, I think there's no doubt. I think Ohio State wins that game. I mean, obviously they were saying Miami was kind of got in by the skin of their teeth. I mean, you could debate they should have been in all along, all that good stuff. But I think, I just feel like Ohio State's got the advantage on both sides of the line. Got a killer offensive line, a killer defensive line. Clearly, they have more playoff experience than Miami. I think just all of that stuff is the running game is going to be one of the key things, I think, for Ohio State. So I'm gonna, with all that being said, Christine and I debated this on earlier, and every number she spit out makes all the sense in the world, but I'm not a common sense guy, so I'm taking the over on that, over 40.5. I think there's going to be some turnovers. I think special teams is going to play a factor by one or both. You saw Miami's kicker miss 3 field goals, so special teams is probably going to play a factor in this game. I do think I think Miami keeps it close, but Ohio State pulls away in the end.
It won't hopefully be as windy for that kicker, because that's why he missed, like, I was like, are you kidding me?
But yeah, there was like some horizontal in that game. That ball was like, he had one that was like dead center, and all of a sudden it's like, I was like, oh my god.
Well, I guess they won't be kicking very much. When they couldn't score, nobody could score until like the last 4 minutes of that ball game.
100%.
It was 0-0, then it was 3-0, then it was 3-3 forever. I think it's just to the point that both defenses at that point were just like, we are freaking exhausted.
I was gonna say, I think I like texted you, and I'm like, I feel pretty confident my under's going to hit on this one when it was halftime at 6-3 or whatever it was.
And did it? Yes. It was 3-0 at that point.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because I thought it was going to be 0-0. All right. Game 3 is going to be Bama and Indiana. What you got?
All right. So I think this is going to be a really close game. I think Alabama showed me a lot in that last game where they were down 17 early. And by halftime, they had crawled back out, and then they win the game by 10. So who did they play again? I just
Indiana and Bama. Yeah.
No. Who did they play last week that they did that? Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was Oklahoma. I was like, I just drew a blank. Because Oklahoma was rolling and it just stopped. And it started towards the end of the second quarter, and they tied it up, and then they go on to beat them by 10. It was a good game because Oklahoma started to come back and make it close, and then they didn't. But I think they're going to give Indiana fits. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think Indiana wins by 2 points. So I don't think Indiana covers. I'm going to say Alabama +7 if you're going to bet. And then I'm not going to touch the over. That's 49.5 points. That's a lot of freaking points.
All right.
And they both have pretty decent defenses, unless they play like they played against Georgia.
Yeah, that's true. Do you want to make a friendly bet then on that? Because I'm going to take Indiana -7. The loser has to buy dinner in Vegas. How about that?
Okay,
cool. So I'm rolling with Indiana. I think they have more consistent quarterback play. Alabama's quarterback is too inconsistent. I think Indiana just overall is a better fundamental team. They don't have the penalties. They don't have the turnovers. Like, that quarterback does not throw interceptions. Mendoza just does not throw interceptions. I mean, yeah, I think Alabama's a wild card for sure. Like, you don't know what team you're going to get. If they show up like they did against Oklahoma, it's going to be a good game. Also, Alabama has better playoff experience as well, just like I kind of said Ohio State did. So I'm kind of going against that in this pick. But I just think Indiana is just the better overall fundamental team versus Alabama. So I am going to go with Indiana -7, and we'll take a friendly bet on that. Dinner at State next week.
It'll have to be a cheap dinner.
Well, we should probably classify. No Taco Bell.
All right. So for my next pick, the last name, Georgia and Ole Miss. I think Georgia is going to beat Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss, we knew they were going to beat the team with the wave for the mascot, the big blue that the tidal wave. What was that one that shouldn't have been in the playoffs that we had that discussion on? They should have not let JMU and who's that other team?
Oh God, you put me on the spot now. Tulane. That's it. Old Summerall. Yeah. Yep.
Which when we watched those games, we saw why. I mean, JMU did at the end make it kind of interesting, but at that point it was so far gone. Like, Oregon's like, I don't care if you score again, unless you bet Oregon to cover.
Yeah. We've already scored 50 some points. Yeah, we're good.
So, go have at it. Go score the points. We were already up 41-3 at some point.
Yeah, and by then they probably had their backups in and everything else. So
and then same thing with Ole Miss. Once they got going against Tulane, that is why they shouldn't have let those two conference champions in, and they should have let Notre Dame and Texas in. We would have had much better games. Either that or BYU. One of those three. Mm-hmm. I'm leaning more Texas and Notre Dame because they play more big boy football than BYU. But I think Ole Miss, with Lane Kiffin leaving the way he did, they're still a little bitter. I'd love to see them beat Georgia, but I think Georgia is going to hold off and cover -6.5. So I'm going to take Georgia in that game. And if I was betting the over, I'd take the over of that too.
Okay. I would take the under on that. However, I like Georgia with you on that. I think at -6.5, again, it's going to be what depends on what the line is at 6.5. So if it bumps above 7, I might question it. But 6.5 is kind of like Ohio State. I think if that went up to 10 or more, I'd probably jump on whoever the hell it is that's playing Ohio State now. Anyways, nonetheless, I mean, that's it. You and I are both on the afternoon brainwave right now. Yeah, so I'm going Georgia -7. I think the dogs agree with me, so they're getting excited back there about my Georgia pick. So I think they're on board with it. I'm gonna roll with it. So I always love watching them back there having a good time. So
you hear the barking?
A little bit, but that's okay. I enjoy watching them in the background.
I'm like, shut up. But
hey, like I said, I think
mutes the sound a lot. So
it's perfect. No, but I think overall Georgia is they're just more sound. They're just a better defensive team, in my opinion. I think if you look back, anytime Ole Miss has played any of the elite defenses, they've been kind of shut down. So while I think there's a lot of mojo, a lot of momentum or motivation for the players that are left there to kind of stick it to Lane Kiffin, Georgia's a brick wall. So I think this rematch is going to give some motivation. So.
So our predictions are for the next bracket going forward. We both think Ohio State's most likely going to beat Miami. So it will be Ohio State meeting Georgia, and I believe it's going to be Indiana meeting Oregon. But you think it's going to be Texas Tech?
I think it'll be Texas Tech. Maybe Oregon wins, but it could end Oregon. If I was taking money line, I might take Oregon on that. But if I can get 3 on Texas Tech, I think that game's going to be really close. I really think the game's going to be close. It's going to be less than a field goal, in my opinion, which could swing Texas Tech's way to win. So if I'm a betting man, I'm going to sprinkle a little on Texas Tech money line, and then I'm going to push that to +3 and put a little more on that.
All right. So we agree mostly on stuff. Now, I will say, if Miami ends up beating Ohio State, they're winning the whole thing. Because they'll have the confidence at that point to win the whole thing. And
they will.
They will be back to Thug U dominance.
I don't know. They got to get by
in early 2000s.
That's still a tough bracket with Georgia and Indiana there, but I'm with you. They definitely would be. You're just reminiscing a little too much.
Hey, you gotta love the Hurricanes of the 80s.
You do. I think you and I talked about it too. It's like them and the UNLV running Rebels with Tarkanian, and they were.
What's on right now is the second documentary.
Okay.
The first one, how they brought it on like there was a hurricane that took over the whole continent or the entire U.S. for 2 decades, and it was the U.
Yeah.
Because they were the team of the 80s and the early 90s and early 2000s. So.
Oh, I like them. And they had the big rivalry games against Florida State and stuff like that. That was
They had rivalry games against Notre Dame. I mean, it was a big game against Notre Dame, Florida State, and the Gators. And those were the 3 big ones that you looked for. And for them to beat the shit out of each other. Kind of like...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Leads me into kind of how, like, Baltimore and the Steelers play or used to play. And I think we're going to get this game. We're not really going to go over covers or anything, but we have 2 really good games that's coming on this weekend that are going to decide whether or not someone goes to the playoffs or who gets the number 1 seed. So the Steelers and Baltimore, and it's Baltimore at the Steelers. Baltimore's favored. I do think, though, if Lamar doesn't play, the Steelers win this game. Because even though Derrick Henry went off last week, he might be a little tired. Who knows? He's a giant. Aaron Rodgers is still the better of the 2 quarterbacks, and they just play each other different. So I look for the Steelers to squeak that one out in a classic Steeler-Baltimore game.
Yeah, that's going to be another one of those pounding games. Those are the fun ones to watch. Those are the on-the-turf street fight, brawl them out. Like when you and I were riding all the Steeler unders last year, it's just because they were just pound you to death and win like 12-9.
Or 12-11.
Exactly. I was actually just going to go look because that's an evening game, I think. Yeah, that's Sunday night game. Over under 41, that would probably be a game. Again, it depends on if Lamar Jackson goes off, or whatnot, or has any big scrambles.
He's still questionable. as of today. So I don't want to bet money on that. If he doesn't play, I'm going to lean more towards the Steelers.
Yeah. I think playoffs on the line, he fights through it and he probably plays, but that's just a general competitive thought, not reality of what his situation is. But I think Pittsburgh, every time they have to win, they win. Like they do. Like like I was telling you the other day, they drive me freaking batshit crazy because just when you think they look good, then they go out and lose. And then you're like, what the hell we got now? Now they got to win again. So I think they just go out and win and they're at home. Yep.
Yeah. And then they'll lose the first round of the playoffs, but that's what they do.
And then everybody will be happy with Tomlin. We made the playoffs.
Who knows? I don't know. They're saying this weekend if they lose that Tomlin may just quit, or they might have an agreement for him to part ways, but he'll get another job. You know who should hire him if the Steelers do get rid of him? The Dolphins.
Yeah. Dolphins should make a play on Burrows is what they should do.
Yes, they should do that too. They should do that too. Because Tua, I honestly, he's good, he's short, but he gets injured way too much. And that is a skill, whether they're available or not. Now, Burrow does get hurt a lot too, but if you build a line around him, that's the problem with the Bengals. They just wouldn't do that. Do that. Do that. Protect your best asset. Do that. Don't let him get hit.
That takes us to our Saturday night game. So we have two good night games. Saturday night game is the Seahawks and the 49ers, right? And that's basically a pick 'em. I think Seattle's favored by 1.5, but that'll be another great game too.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. They're playing in San Fran. It depends on how much they can contain Christian McCaffrey. Now, Seattle's got the defense like the Texans. It's like that. I think the Texans still have a more staunch defense. But Seattle's got a good defense. Darnold does throw a lot of picks, though.
He does.
I would try. Purdy's been on a tear since he did the Dougie. What was that stat I sent you?
Yeah,
he was 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions prior to the Dougie, and he's got something like 23 touchdowns and 2 interceptions since the Dougie, or something like that. What was it?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because the over-under on that's 49.5, which is quite a few points considering Seattle's defense. However, that's the one thing I was telling somebody, I may have told you that too, was about a buddy of mine's a big Niners fan. I was like, dude, they would be a team that would scare me other than their defense seems to be pretty porous. Although they got some injuries, all of that is a reality, but golly, Chicago, that was a freaking offensive sling fest.
We had great games. We had great games last week, and we had Buffalo and Philly. That was the other end of the spectrum, which was complete defense. It was completely all Philly in the first half. They scored 13 points. Buffalo couldn't do anything since the fumble. Then the second half, for whatever reason, Buffalo could drive down the field. They just couldn't punch it in until the end of the game. And then the kicker misses, and then they miss on the 2-point conversion to win. Because had they kicked the extra point and made it, then they wouldn't have had to go for 2 and probably would have won the game. Because they scored with 5 seconds left. It was
right.
You were just
there was.
I can't believe they just expect Josh Allen to do all this stuff, and that they do.
I can't remember. I was on a plane. I was texting you, and I can't remember if I was watching it on the game or if I got home in time to watch the end of it. But I was like, "Holy cow! This is an amazing, crazy game."
It was, and then the other one was back forth, back forth. I was like, "Could someone stop someone?" And then at the very, very end, where Caleb Williams is running around. Oh, there's no more time left, and he's running around. He throws it, and it skips in, and you're like, oh. You saw every single the Bears guy just lay there, and then the San Francisco's guy just taking thank God.
I know.
Over.
They all had to be so freaking exhausted that last drive. That was just as with the track meet that thing was, man, they had to be dying. Hell, they kept pulling receivers out just to give them 2 or 3 plays off every set of downs. It was dang, they were just winded, but
So for
That's
the
a good game.
those are going to be the two games that we're going to be looking out for, and hopefully will be enjoyable, and we'll get to, because they're both rivalry games too, so they're division rivals. So it should be quite a good matchup, because the San Francisco Seattle's for the number 1 seed, who's going to get a break. I'm sure San Francisco wants that break after that game with with Chicago, and then you're going to Seattle, and then Seattle's coming to, and even less than a week, you know, so it's not a full 7 days. It's a little bit of a shorter week, so hopefully Kittle can be back, because that was a thing too. They didn't have George Kittle. What his left tackle, his starting left tackle, Trent Williams, was out. So they need those guys back. So
yeah,
and McCaffrey was hurting towards the end, because I think he had something like 30 touches the week prior, against, was it Atlanta? And then they had another one where he had, at some point where towards the end of the game where they were taking him out more, he had something like 28 touches already. I mean, and 140 yards, very productive touches, but he's tired.
For sure. I think, yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I think I'm kind of rooting for, I mean, obviously I want Ohio State to win for you so we can watch that game, and you'll have somebody diehard to root for next week. However, I do have $10 on Miami before they got pronounced into the playoffs. That was going to win me like $280 if they win it all. So I'm not going to talk trash, but internally this week I am kind of offline rooting for. I'd love to see either way. That's what my point. I'd love to go watch Ohio State with you in Vegas, but I'm not going to cry if they lose, because I got a good chunk of reward on the Miami pick that I had from a few weeks ago.
All right. So next week we'll probably cover the remaining college football playoff games and the start of the NFL playoffs. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week.
See ya.